I love colors, okay? The brighter the better for me. And the Pantone color just came out this year. I don't really follow Pantone all that much, but when I was scrolling through my little Instagram, I kept seeing posts about Pantone colors for specific zodiac signs. And if you don't know, I'm an Aquarius. Aquarius season is coming up real quick. And I was like, let me find some books that match the Pantone colors that I'm supposed to correspond with because I'm an Aquarius, and see if there's a correspondence there, you know, like if there are things that go together. Just a little experiment, if you will. So I picked out 5 Pantone colors that are supposed to be for me because I'm an Aquarius, and then I went on the internet and scrounged up some books that I think match those Pantone colors pretty well. So the first Pantone color that I have is Seafoam, and it's a very like gray, greeny color. I personally like the Seafoam color, but the books that I was able to find that really had the Seafoamy colors were a lot of literary books. I have my handy dandy computer here, so I'm gonna be looking down, but there were a lot of literary books. One I have is The Wilder Girls, which I've already read, and it's more like greeny in tone, but her shirt really like captures, you know, the Seafoam aspect. And then we have a historical, which me not really into, but my library did have one of them. And if you zoom in to this book cover, there is Seafoam in there. So I chose Spring by Ali Smith, which is a series, I believe, and you can read these as a standalone. I'm not really sure what this is about besides it being springtime. It says that it's a story over time rifling on one of Shakespeare's most like inspiring works for this author, and a changing in nature, spring, hope springs eternal, whatever that means. It has high ratings, so I was like, why not? Why don't we pick that? The next color that I have is green tea. I'm not a green tea drinker per se, but I love the color green tea, and I have only heard of The Hobbit. All of these other ones I don't really know much about. I was really interested in the serpent one, but then again, my library had one for me, and if you zoom in, you find that green tea in this one, specifically like up top. You can't really see it on here, but hopefully in the picture that I just showed. But if you zoom in, there's green tea like right here up in the top right hand corner of this. Again, I don't really know much about this besides it's historical. It's during the Civil War. It's supposed to be really sad. It's literary. Trying to read outside my comfort zone this year, so hopefully this one doesn't bite me in the ass, you know. But yeah, so we're gonna read this for the green tea. Next book I have is a gray, like a silvery gray. Wasn't anticipating Aquarius being for silvery gray, but this Instagram post specifically, like it said, you need to do this silvery gray. So I was like, okay. So the books that I picked, like that I found on the internet, are a lot of fantasy / romantasy, and I was interested in that because I was like, okay. And then I realized that I had one on my bookshelf, which is Broken Blade. It has more red in it than anything, but if you zoom in on this little dagger thing right here and her belt buckle, it's got that silvery gray in there, and her eyeballs and her like her hood and everything. So we're gonna read Broken Blade. I know that this is a fantasy, possibly romantasy, and she's an assassin. All for that. I've had this book on my bookshelf for a while, and when I realized that it was the perfect gray, I was like, yes. Okay, so we're gonna read that. Next color I have is Nile Blue, and I had trouble finding a good pick for this one because there's a lot of blues out there, obviously, but this one has more like a teal gray color to it, you know, and it was kind of hard to find a blue like that. But all of the books that I found has this kind of tone to it. The closest one that I found was Blue Ticket, and this is supposed to be a dystopian thriller, which, you know, I love me a dystopian thriller. And the more I thought about it, and like obviously this is a little bit off from the Nile Blue, but I think I get a pass because I can get a pass, you know. But yeah, I saw that this was a dystopian thriller and it's supposed to be super dark, and I've been into dystopian thrillers lately, so I'm gonna read Blue Ticket. And last but not least is a super pretty purple. I love purple. Purple is fabulous, and it's called Radiant Orchid. When I saw this, I was like, oh yeah, I gotta do that one. Okay, I gotta do that one. And most of the ones that I found were like YA horror or romance. Into it, okay, into it. And the one that I picked for this one, because I've already read Hurricane Wars, which I absolutely love that cover. I've had White Smoke on my TBR for a while, but Play Along had the actual purple, like this tone of purple in it. White Smoke's purple was just a little bit off. So I'm gonna read Play Along, which I've already read one of these books in that series. I can't remember which one it was. I'll put it on the screen for you. But we're gonna read Play Along. I really like that series I really liked that book when I read it a couple years ago, and I've been meaning to get back into this series, so I was like, this is perfect timing, you know. So yes, I'm very, very excited about this video. Hopefully you are too. I will leave all of the Instagram post links in the description box for you if you wanna do this or whatever. But I will let you know which one I start with first. Probably the library books, because I gotta get them back. And hopefully you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments down below if you like this concept and if you want me to do it again. But yeah, I'll let you know when I start to read one of these books. So I'm checking my NetGalley stuff, and I just got approved for like 3 books, and I'm really excited. And I was over here like doing like this, and I looked down and I feel like a little lady because I'm flooding really bad in these. So unfortunately, this book was not my thing at all. This was like, you know, one of those books when you're in college and you have to read the book and it is the most dry, boring thing you've ever read in your life. That's this. I hate the way that it's written. It's one of those books that does not have quotation marks at all. And every time the characters are talking, the author doesn't know how to use anything besides she said, he said, she said, he said. So there are literally like pages and pages of people talking without quotation marks. And you're like, the point of quotation marks is to show that somebody is talking, right? Like right here, there's a conversation. There's no quotes, no quotation marks whatsoever. And all the author uses is said when the characters are talking. So if it's a whole page full of that, it's just like da 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 da, he said, da 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 da, she said, da 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 da, he said, da 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 da, she said. And I'm like, oh my god, stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it. It is so annoying. It is so annoying. I don't like the way that this book was written. I do appreciate the social commentary that's in here, because there is a lot of talk about racism, about how social media is taking over everything, how social media is taking away empathy from people. And there's also a concentration camp that's being spoken of in here too. I am not really up on like concentration camps outside of like the US. I know Germany, Holocaust, all that, but I don't really know much about all the other ones. So I'm gonna have to do some research on what the author is talking about in here, but she is talking about like a prison type place that is literally a concentration camp. So I need to wrap my brain around that a little bit more. But overall, I did not like this. I don't know if I'm just dumb or there's just so much going on in here. It's very disjointed and there's no conciseness whatsoever. And I'm like, I am lost. The only thing that I was able to absorb is the social commentary stuff that's in here. Everything else, I don't know what's going on. I don't know who the characters are. There's no characterization in here. The plot is just all over the place and I just don't get it. I don't understand it. So this is a 1.5. The 0.5 is for what I've been saying, the social commentary that's in here. But yeah, this one was a bust and I'm taking it back to the library pronto. Okay, pronto. But the next one that I'm going to read is this one. I know that this is a historical book and it is about Reverend John Ames. I'm a preacher, so I think this is going to have a little bit of a religion undertone to it. I just know that it's historical. So says that this is another remarkable vision of God. Or I'm sorry, this is another remarkable vision, not just of the version of God, but of the version of life as a wondrously strange creation, whatever that means. So hopefully we will figure it out. But it's going to be historical. And y'all know how I feel about historical books. And it's literary, so we shall see. I might eat my words. Hopefully I do. Hopefully I enjoy this, but we'll find out. And I'll let you know. But I'm taking... It's getting tossed. Back to the library. I just finished Gilead and I'm giving it a 2.5. I did think that this book was rather sweet in the father writing letters to his son as he's watching his son grow up. And one of the reasons why he's doing that is because he's old. His wife is like 37 years younger than him. So while his son is growing up, he is growing older, you know, so he wants to write to his son and like tell him about his father and his grandfather and all that kind of stuff, which I thought was really sweet. But he's also a preacher and I understand the point of telling people about your faith and trying to teach them about your faith. But in some points in this book, he was rather brash with his beliefs and talking down, I felt like, to his son about the important lessons of the Bible. And in my opinion, the Bible is a guide. It's not a step like you have to do this, you have to do this, you have to do this. It's a guide. It's a story. And I have a hard time when people are trying to talk to me about faith, but also putting in their personal beliefs about their faith instead of letting me make my own decisions, if that makes sense. So I had issues with that in here. I also just felt like the story was pretty boring in a lot of ways, but I'm giving it a 2.5 because I did think that it was sweet in him trying to connect with his son. I also thought that it was really sad to see his deterioration over these letters, because he does start, it starts out, he's pretty all there, but you see his deterioration of how he is starting to forget things, how his letters going from pages and pages to just like short, very short sections of his journal. And he's talking about how he's scared to die. He doesn't want to die because he wants to see his son grow up, and he feels almost guilty because he had his son so much later in life. And while he didn't have the best relationship with his father, he can appreciate his father for who he was. And he remembers his dad as before he was old, and he has those memories, and he just feels bad because he's old and his son has not seen him at his most strong times when he was in strength and everything. So I did think that that was sweet, although it was very sad too. If you've never seen somebody that you love deteriorate and you see their body start to dwindle and their mind start to like kind of leave, it's really, really sad. It's really hard to watch. So I do think that in that aspect, this book was nicely done. It was just, it dragged a lot. It was boring to me. And I had some issues with his beliefs in that aspect. So, or not really beliefs. Well, yeah, they're beliefs. And yeah, anyways, 2.5. I do think that people who are trying to find their faith, or who have questions about their faith, who like journals rather than chapters, because this one is just like a big long, like I said, it's this whole journal. If you are into literary books, I think that you would really enjoy this. This is like straight literary, and I am trying to find the type of literary that I like. Okay, I'm trying, because everybody's like, literary is awesome, and I'm like, okay, but what type of literary are you reading? Because every literary I read is freaking boring, okay? It's boring to me. But I'm hoping that this book, because we're gonna go with the silver, you know, and her eyes freak me out sometimes. This book was just like on my floor after I did the introduction to this video, and I kept looking over and her eyes were just like glowing at me, and I'm like, okay, it's kind of catching me off guard a little bit. But I'm hoping that this will tickle my fancy, you know, because this is about Kira. She is a killer. She's an assassin, and she is trying to fight against the crown. She has to hunt down somebody that's called the so-called Shadow. She's in Feyland. I am very excited about this because she's supposed to be a badass, and I evidently love me some characters that are into the badassery, okay? I ended up finishing A Broken Blade, and I'm gonna give it a 3.5. I thought that this book was pretty well done. It did a lot more like telling me than showing me throughout, which is one of the reasons why I did give it a 3.5. But overall, I thought that it was a really good story. It had a lot of important topics in it, especially social injustice topics, specifically for, they are called halflings in this book, and they are half fae and half mortal. So the king, being a mortal king, does not like halflings, nor does he like fae people. So if you are a halfling, because the fae have left the land, if you are a halfling in his kingdom, he's either going to kill you or you have to conform to what he wants and become like one of his soldiers, basically. And we have Kira, and she is the king's blade, which means she is his like right hand assassin. She goes out and she kills people because he wants information about the people in their kingdom. So she is tasked to go do that, and she does it for a long time. She's very tired. She feels horrible for what she does, and she's doing it so she doesn't die. But she's very, very good at her job. The only thing is there's this person called the Shadow who is stealing halflings and making life for the king very, very hard, and he wants Kira to go find that person and to kill them. So she gets into toughs with the shadow, but the person ends up getting away multiple times. So she is called to go to the Feyland and see if she can find him there. But overall, I thought that it was a pretty good story. It reminded me a lot of Black Widow, like Marvel Black Widow / Robin Hood, because we have, like, you know, an assassin here. She really doesn't want to be what she is, but she has to because people are forcing her to do horrible things. And then, you know, Robin Hood, we have somebody who is helping the poorer people and basically making life a living hell for the rich. And there you go. If those two had a baby, this would be it. But this is talking about racism. It's talking about social injustices, how the richer get rich and the poorer get poor. And if you are a specific ethnicity or race, or even female or male, you get treated differently by the mortals. And it's really the king and his 2 sons that are making everybody's life a living hell. People are terrified of him, and they don't want to go against him because they know that if they go against him, they will die. So he's a dictator, and he thinks people being scared of him is respect. So it is very relevant to what's going on in today's world. And I was glad to see that Kira did what she did in this book, because she doesn't want to be in the position that she's in. And when she finds a way to change up her life, she does. And she wants to not redeem herself, but she wants to do the right thing. She knows what she has to do is horrible. So when she finds opportunity to do the right thing, she does. And learning about Kira and learning about her alcoholism, I really do think that she has PTSD. She has a lot of nightmares, and she just doesn't know how to deal with her grief. She hasn't been given a chance to deal with her grief, so she combats that with alcohol. And that was really sad to see. But Kira does a lot of growing in this book. In her overall character arc, you see that, and you see her change. You might not agree with what she's doing, but she really doesn't have another choice until she gets that other choice, if that makes any sense. So I already ordered the second book. I do plan on continuing on with the series. Now I'm reading Play Along Me by Liz Tomford, and this is about Isaiah and Kennedy. And Kennedy is the only woman doctor / trainer for Isaiah's Major League Baseball team, and Isaiah is a shortstop, so they get to see each other a lot. Kennedy is put in this position where she is completely overqualified for her job as like the sports therapist or whatever she is, because she is a medical doctor and she wants to work in sports, but because her boss hates women and hates seeing women in power, doesn't give her the medical doctor position, and she is basically doing the grunt work of a lot of things. Imagine that. But Isaiah and her have a night in Vegas. They get drunk and they get married. It's a marriage of convenience. I am loving them together. I think that's one thing that Liz Tomford does so well, is the banter and the angst between characters. And there's just a lot of humor and a lot of love that she pours into these books. And she gives each character their own individual stories and personalities, which I really, really enjoy. I like Isaiah. He is one of those funny guys, but you know that deep down he's using humor to combat feelings that he doesn't want to let out. Whereas Kennedy, she comes from a pretty influential family, but her family wasn't, like, her mom and her dad were not very affectionate towards her. She went to boarding school. She did a lot of charity events. Her parents are like socialites and stuff like that. And they just cared more about their image than her. So she doesn't really have a good relationship with her parents, but she does have a stepbrother. His name is Dean, and I'm really, really excited to get to know him too. So yeah, I am glad to be back in this world. I have missed it. It's been a couple years, but I'm glad that we're back, and I'm hoping that I'll be able to get to all the other books in this series this year too. I have plans, but I just want to let you know that I am currently in the middle of this one. So my plan is to continue reading / listening to it today, play Sims tonight, hopefully start Blue Ticket tomorrow. I don't think my camera likes my camera stand because it's been cutting off like mid-talk, and it hasn't ever done that before, so I'm not really sure what's going on with that. But I wanted to let you know that, first off, hold on, did I tell you about Play Along? I didn't tell you about Play Along. Hold please. So Play Along, I ended up giving it 5 stars. Absolutely loved Isaiah and Kennedy together. Thought that they were so freaking cute. I just love all of the characters in this world. The friend group in this world, I love them so much. And I just loved how much chemistry Isaiah and Kennedy had. You could tell that they really, really loved each other, and they had so much passion for each other, so much passion for their like separate lives too. And I really loved seeing how their work lives intermingled, but they were also super professional. And it's kind of like in workplace romances, sometimes that line crosses a little bit, but for this instance it did not, and I appreciated that a lot about the whole story. Can't wait to continue on with the series. And yeah, I just really, really loved it. Like, I sat there and played Sims and listened, and I was just like the entire time. I was giggling and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it was great. I loved it so much, so much. I can't really talk about all the things that I did love in it because I don't want to spoil anything for you, but just know that they're fantastic. And read it if you're wanting a marriage of convenience. Lots of communication between the characters, great friend group, talks about them like talking about childhood traumas that they're trying to still overcome as adults, them helping each other out, or trying to like help each other with those traumas, and instead of telling each other that they are broken, they are trying to help fix their partner, you know, that kind of thing. You know what a normal healthy relationship should look like. That's what theirs looks like. Okay, so now we're in Blue Ticket. This is a weird one. So in this world, once girls have their period, they go to this lottery, and they have to like pull papers out of the lottery, and if they get a white ticket, that means that they have to marry somebody and have kids. If they get a blue ticket, they are given like freedom to go be independent people and to like do what they want, but they can't have children. They have an IUD put in. They have one of those put in, so it, like, you know, if you know what IUD is, you can't have kids on one. And our main character doesn't like the fact that she's not given a choice in the matter. This book is about taking away women's autonomy. And in this world, like I said, you are told if you are able to get married and have children. And she doesn't like that. So she breaks the rules, ends up getting pregnant, and now she's on the run because people are trying to like abort her baby. And she is running away from that. This character, sorry if the lighting just got weird, but this character is not a likable character at all. She does things that you normally would not do while you were pregnant. Especially if you got pregnant on purpose. And I mean, any pregnant person hopefully would never do the things that she has done. And one of the main things when you are pregnant, you don't smoke or you don't drink and don't do drugs, right? I had a really hard time with some of those chapters because knowing that she purposely did this, even though, like, okay, I'm not trying to victim blame, okay? But knowing that she purposely got pregnant and then she goes off and she does all the things that she's not supposed to, I get that she's running away and she's trying to get away from the situation because the society that she lives in is not good whatsoever for women. And the way that they treat women is horrible. But I just have, it's just that like fine line between like, woman, I get that you're running away, but why you gotta go out here and drink and smoke and try to fit in with people, okay? Just go to your destination. But that's, I don't know. Those thoughts I have a hard time with. But yeah, she is definitely a victim when it comes to not having free choice, you know. She is told what she can and cannot do with her body, and she doesn't like that. And there are a lot of other women out there that don't like it too. There's also commentary about how society views women, especially the ones that have the white ticket, because they are actively trying to find a husband or a partner so they can have kids and they can get married and settle down. And the blue tickets are like, you're stealing all the men. So there's that fine line too. But it's an odd one, but it's an important one. I'm just having a hard time with the main character and at some points, but I also feel for her a lot too because she's never been given free choice, and now that she has it, well, she doesn't really have it, but now that she has made her own choices, she's having to run because they're trying to harm her and her baby. In my opinion, this book is the blueprint of why people should not mess with women's rights, autonomy, bodies, tell women what they should be doing, what they should not be doing. Women need to be able to do what they want to do, because when women are told that they can't do it, anybody who's told that they cannot do something when they really want to do something, they're going to figure out a way, right? But the whole point of this book is to give the main character the option of doing what she wants to do, and she wants to have a baby. She wants to live her life the way that she wants to, and the society is pigeonholing people into either having babies and having a family, being a white ticket, or being a blue ticket and not being able to choose to have a family, but being independent and successful in life. I don't know. I don't understand why the women are pigeonholed and the men aren't, but you know, misogyny and everything. So that's what this entire book is about. It's not going to be everybody's cup of tea, but yep, it's a dystopian book, and it was a hard hitter. Not that I like the main character, but I can see why she did some of the things she did, still questioning her on some of the things. But I do like the way that the second half of this book played out, and how the women in this book were able to find ways of beating the government in a way, I guess, if that's how you want to say it. But yeah, I can see why a lot of people won't like this. So was this video a success? I read it 5 stars, so yeah. But I don't really think the color of books and my zodiac sign really matter all that much. This was just a fun little experiment that I thought that I would try. Hopefully you enjoyed it too. Let me know in the comments down below if you want me to do another video like this. I always like doing videos like this. Something different. There's a little person, but yeah, hopefully you enjoyed it. And hopefully you will let me know down in the comments if you've read any of these books, if you liked them, if you didn't like them. But I'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.